New Joe Albi Stadium.
Joe Albi Way.
Joe Albi Stadium.
Joe Albi Stadium.
Joe Albi Stadium.
Joe Albi Stadium.
Stadium.
Being born in Spokane, Washington, I was remarkably familiar with Joe Albi Stadium, which was within walking distance of my childhood home. The Joe Albi Stadium has a rich history. Originally named the Spokane Memorial Stadium, it was built in 1950 on the site of a former U.S. Army hospital. It was renamed the Joe Albi Stadium after Joe Albi died in 1962. Joe Albi was the driving force behind creating more sporting facilities within the city. A statue was built in his honor in 1997, which sat alongside generations of attendees in the bleachers over the years. Joe Albi is a memorable place for many Spokane residents. Greg Forsyth, who is the Capital Projects Administrator of the Spokane Public School Board, was involved with the process of demolishing Joe Albi and building the new One Stadium in downtown Spokane.
Yeah, so back in, I think it was in the early 50s, they fundraised and they raised enough money and they built this stadium in almost 6 months. And the way that they built it was they basically hollowed out the dirt that made the stadium floor and piled it up on each side. And so as they removed the soil, they reused it to build the seats on each side. And it stayed obviously for over 50 years, over 70 years actually. But it was originally named Memorial Stadium as obviously a memorial to the veterans. The reason they renamed it Joe Albi was one, he was one of the original fundraisers for the athletic roundtable that raised the money to build it in the first place. And then Joe Albi was, it wasn't really a philanthropic, individual. He didn't have his own money, but he raised money for a lot of different things. In fact, he raised money to build Esmeralda Golf Course. They raised money to bring the first U.S. Open for women's golf was in Spokane. He was very instrumental in a lot of those things. And as he was declining in health, they decided to honor him by doing that. So one of the things was they renamed the stadium after him. They kept the original Memorial Stadium plaque though. It was always kept on site. But the history of Joe Albi is rich. I mean, there's, if you talk to old timers, they'll talk about Cougar games being there. That was the home stadium for Washington State University. It also held, concerts. Billy Graham is a big one. It held a professional football game one time. I think it was the Bears versus the Packers or something like that. And so there's a rich history of it, and that history, although it was rich, the problem was the stadium physically and the structure physically didn't carry that richness after it was 70 years old. It was a little bit tired, but the memories were still crystal clear. It is a history that was passed on to Flett Middle School. Pauline Flett was a member of the Spokane tribe that is credited with saving the Salish language by writing it down. And she taught Salish, but that was her gift. And since it was, all of the land was a Spokane Native tribe at that point in time. And so the memories of Joe Albi Stadium are more focused on the new One Stadium than they are on the middle school. So down at the new One Stadium, we have the plaque of the Memorial Stadium. We also have the sculpture that was dedicated to Joe Albi. It's called Joe Fan. And so even though the stadium was renamed as One Spokane Stadium, and there's a lot of reasons for One Spokane Stadium, One Stadium for Spokane City, one for Spokane Public Schools, it really made sense. But to honor him, we recognize the fact that he still did great things. And so we honored him by naming a plaza, Joe Albi Plaza. We have a plaque there. And then the The street just to the south of it used to be Dean Avenue. That one block section got renamed to Joe Albi Way. I actually played football as a high school player in Joe Albi for Shadle Park, and I actually coached football at both Rogers and Lewis and Clark when I taught at Lewis and Clark and I taught at Rogers. And I remember visiting games when I was younger. I saw the Cougars play, and I went to games with my father, and yeah, I have great memories of it.